Awesome. All right. So I'll start with the Necrastic poem. All right. Diego Rivera, The Flower Carrier, 1935. He kneels under the burden of flowers. Looking down, he cannot feel their beauty. The purple heft of it weighs him down. His yellow sling, used to latch the cradle of picked ones, feels flimsy, as if it could slip off, like a scarf, a dress. Woman, stout and heavily garmented, do you see how she holds steady with strong arms the bounty of one, while he's bent down, all fours pushing the earth? She's the unburdened one, free of the sling, watching him struggle. She looks down upon him as if she's the one shamed by the idea. She must resort to sweat because in this world, nobody's eyes are visible. They must hide their sweat here under the brim of a hat, under the dark shade of birth, under the voice of rustled, overgrown leaves. I can only imagine the cost of not coming up. Again, the flowers are light in his hands. Thorn trimmed by delicate shears, he takes them to the florist, the market, his grandmother. Each one is pressed then gently inside the folds of books read by candlelight. Does the flower carrier know the feat of finishing a book? Or do you imagine all his life he's carried loads each night, too exhausted to finish anything but this task? Does he dream about petals he finds stuck in his lapel, pressed inside his shoes, the way they somehow stain his clothes? How the dusk and wet dirt wear his linen knees when he kneels again and again to lift a new basketful? How he must wash these white clothes each day carefully by hand? How he scrubs and scrubs the dirt out to feel opulent against a small work done? How he rises so clean each morning, doing what needs to be done among the vibrant hues. All right. This is an old one, The Roofers. I work hard heat into a home. Then, when everything is done and dark, I lay flat and can't help but think of those Western pioneers, because there was once a city I fled, and it's over there in the past in the brow of a man crossing the Rio, staring at the Big Dipper. It's as if now the stars read like an inscription, a possibility, instructions to be found, always there guiding. It's like this unbearable tar couldn't justify this living, not until the cooler of beers, the hours waged, the meal brought to a table with calloused hands, could trade work for my first love, a blue-green Chevrolet truck. This I will trade to my son for nothing, because he earned it when he gave me life. Let me watch him grow, lead him by his hand to the flatbed, and look toward a swath of stars, calling it ours. Drawing constellations of our future in which we lay the floor plans, building a home over and over again until it feels tangible enough to dust off our boots and walk inside. Sleep status. No one keeps doing that.
Yeah.
All right. So, some mornings I wake up and thumb the world, liking things to make myself feel better. Through the curtain, light gray clouds pour over me and tell me there's something unsettling about the way I fall asleep cradling a screen. Some nights I know this. I strap earplugs in before bed and put on a playlist. Can't help thinking, where did this night come from? I Google the name of the song and enter a black hole searching for lyrics of songs with night. I can't keep track of them. Here's one where the night moves and serves as metaphor for losing it. There are many in which the singer is lonely. The singer is thinking of rain, a means of showing emotion, crying and waking up to forget his or her night. In some night songs, the singer is sleepless and turns night into a fever. This is another place where I lose myself, watching clip after clip of night song, and I sink into the sagging bed, looking upward, and sleep presses into me to divide my time back to other evenings where I used to close my eyes and think of good night moon and live childhood wondering where it was that mother worked so late. When are you coming home to say goodnight? I sit in front of the TV set, listening to someone else read me stories in the nighttime. I recall those under the cover of night moments where I'd sneak boy detective stories and solve for the disappearance of night. Mother, the age when I stopped writing my dreams. I still keep a dream journal for this very reason, to read what night means to me. I trained myself to write dreams before bed, dreams while I sleep, to interpret them. I wake up saying, this is my dream to myself. Good morning, everybody on my news feed. Hello, world. Driving alone. You go through the back country and let it feel like nothing but road. At night, the sky is looming black clouds. Its throat opens from the fullness of moon widening behind you. The dark spell of rain will come suddenly. The car you drive will go soft, and the comfort of music playing will allow you to not feel. When threads of water become teeth, combing wet hair, the rivered roads will feel too thick for your small car to handle. The seduction of a warm blanket and the red LED of a Motel 6, a room for $39.99 flashing, will tempt you. You'll instead drive westward into the desert. Darkness will follow until there is nothing but headlamps in road, the distant stars hanging, bone dust in the sky, bright molars outlining constellations scattered. Orion's chest will be punctured by the white knife of a half moon, a cut along his sternum. His open ribs will become a beating heart, a fistful of blood. You'll become one with the yellow line when you nod off and wonder how your headlights still do not shine as far as your destination. How did you get so far away on empty? When you turn the high beams on, you won't get there any faster. Pull over to the shoulder, turn the car off, listen to the ether of nocturnal creatures, contemplate the desert. Nobody is here. The silhouette of distant unlit trees. You're in the middle of them, waiting for the confirmation that you are here. You're kneeling and praying for lightning to offer you more than the hazards. They can only blink on and off. This is my last poem. It's The Ownership of the Night, after Larry Levis. 1. After 6 years, I'm in the kitchen of my parents' house again, staring at the cabinets for something. Convince me that each year won't leave me in the sway of monotony, reaching for the late night bag of chips, reflecting I hunger, I will stare at for hours when resting in an armchair under an infomercial, asleep, wondering how I returned here to the buzz of mosquitoes, savoring blood, and the 1-800 number, insisting there's something worthwhile out there still. 2. Once, celebrating a friend's good news, we went away to Bradley Beach. We looked over the bluffs and stepped into the void of night. When we listened to the vast lake, we saw 2 ships anchored and pulling farther away. The sheet of stars and its waves seemed to beat on us until suddenly a girl I didn't know came in search of a lost baggie of weed between the crags below the pier. We walked away because we didn't like the way it felt there anymore. The next morning we saw desperation and a bonfire abandoned there in the sand. Nothing could stop us from making love there in the bushes, unsatisfied with the way we lived. 3. This evening, I picture those moments as bridges where I walk hand in hand with strangers that I let go. Already they are distant shadows, and this is where I am. The gray memory of what's transpired is a photograph that never feels quite present or near. I often wonder how difficult it is to capture me, how there seems to be no current version of who I want to be. Any one of them could be a stranger laughing hard. This one too. I can't help that it looks like a silhouette of a younger me, a cooler one, slipping into fog at dusk. He's lighting the last of a cigarette and becoming night. Thank you. All right, so next up, we have our honored guest all the way from Austin by way of Philadelphia, right? That's where you are right now. But he's originally from here, and these are all Texas writers, by the way, writing in some way or another about Texas, but he especially is a big fan of Texas. I think most of your book involves Texas in some way, right? The whole book. All right. So please give a warm welcome to Scott Brownlee.
Thank you everybody for coming. Thanks to Wild Detectives for hosting. I'm from Lano, Texas. We do not have a cool bookstore like this there, unfortunately. I'm going to open with a poem that's the title of the full length. It's called Requiem for a Used Ignition Cap. Give God no dead with their brains busted out, no black shotguns beside them empty. Not the boy's suicide explained as accident. Not his grief manifold and his family's tongues taken out of their mouths by the power of it. All that pain unloading. The body quits, the spirit does. No one knows what to say except sorry, sorry. Let what joins us be more than our lamentation. Every tether we tie to that shotgun blast renders us split open too. Seeing the evidence of it, we cannot be blameless. Casing intricate green on the boy's bedroom floor, and as singular now as a souvenir kept from some scenic island. Smooth shell, thick with buckshot, meant to penetrate flesh of a dangerous man or an animal. Please, we say, prophesying, take no children from us. Give us no miracle today, no rain to fill our emptiness, except him, Lord. That shattered boy back in our fold, praying still earnestly for pain to cleanse him, with his head buried deep in his hands, or else raised to the sky when rain pellets strike him, slick mouth open, drinking. And what I'll do is I'll just read a poem each from a couple of my chapbooks, which are kind of pre-full-length books if you're not a poet. And the first one I'll read is from a collection called Highway or Belief. Where I'm from, meth is a pretty significant problem. It's also a very religious place, so this title of this poem comes from that. It is called The Gospel According to Addicts in Lano, Texas. We have chosen to scar our skins here in tin shacks, where we conjure up more than Christ could on hot plates, full of chemical psalms now and prayerless waking. We're the dead you forgot. We're the saved and the damned in the First Baptist pews, where repentance is free but can never save us. We buy bottles of Drano we slowly empty, in the same way we do Duracell batteries, leaking golden acid. An erasure of everything witnessed and felt as the sky opens here sometimes during a storm. promising after rain the good cleansing of church, or a stiff drink to stave off the feeling of emptiness gathering up. We cough ribbons of blood with each drug-addled breath. You cannot heal us, Lord. You cannot raise us up like you did Lazarus. As he approached you from the grave with insects clinging to his hands, you cannot believe it. The first time words became flesh surprised you. You understood symbolically you were the Son of God until you raised a man. Then you physically did. Similarly, the first meth we made surprised us. Our homes each exploded. We stood outside them in the dark, choirs of sirens closing in, bright red and blue light bathing us, and could not believe it. Something that's really important to me as a writer of place who writes about rural Texas is the collective voice. So you notice those first two poems were in a we voice. We do this, we do that. That's definitely very intentional, and I think really helps you explore the place you're from if you're a writer. This poem is a little more personal, though, a little direct. It's called Peach Philosophy. It's in my chapbook Ascension, and it's basically about peaches. Peach philosophy. And my family had a small orchard of about 4 or 5 trees in our